Hi, my name is Amanda. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have been on a little bit of a YouTube hiatus, and I'm finally getting around to finishing this video, which is the part 2 of my art business Q&A. But I finally finished editing it, and I'm super excited to share it with you. So let's get into the video. Next question is, how many hours do you work a week? I would say on average, I work around 40 hours a week during the week, and then an additional 8 to 10 hours on the weekend, just depending on what time of year it is. Because if it's during the summer, I usually stay at the art walk a little bit longer than I do in the winter because the sun sets really early in the winter. I would say it's roughly kind of around 40 to 50 hours a week, which is very much a lot sometimes. It's funny. I've seen all those memes and stuff where it's I quit my 9 to 5 working 40 hours a week, and now I work 24/7 on my small business or whatever. And it's so true. I was feeling very burnt out at the job that I had before I decided to start doing this. And it is so true that you would work 100 hours a week for your passion, but it is so hard to work 40 hours a week for something that is not. But that is honestly not sustainable to do. And this is my 3rd year being full-time with my art, and I am very much feeling the toll of working pretty much every single weekend, and then also working basically full-time during the week as well. And so this year I am trying to prioritize having a better work-life balance and giving myself a day, at least 2 days off. Usually they're not back to back. Usually I will take Saturday off if I don't have a market, which I usually don't have a market on Saturday. And then I have the art walk on Sunday, and then I take Monday off. But what usually ends up happening is I take the morning of Monday off, and then in the afternoon, I usually end up working on something. It's just hard. I am still trying to do my best at not overworking myself. Question 6 is a little bit like one of the previous questions, but it's also a little bit different, so I figured I would still include it. It is, how do you make art into a profitable business? And just gonna be really honest, it's very, very, very hard. My art business has just kind of barely been profitable. I am just not making a ton of money from my art. And I actually made a video where I talked about my income from art and freelance that I had in 2024. So I will put it in the cards, and I'll also link it below. So far since I have been full-time with my art, I have been net positive with just looking at my art income. And then if you toss in what I've made from doing freelance, I am making a livable wage. And I think one of the big reasons why my art business has been profitable, even though it is a very, very, very small profit, is that I make everything by hand. So my prints and obviously my paintings. And then I also make sometimes little cute polymer clay earrings and things like that. What I use to make all of these things really doesn't cost me all that much money, and then I sell them for a lot more. So it's almost like a 90% profit margin, which is very large compared to what other businesses profit margins are. But I guess time-wise, my profit margin maybe isn't as high as other businesses because I'm having to make everything by hand. I think I would rather sacrifice my time rather than money and be making more money. So I'm just gonna be super honest. It is very, very, very hard to make a living wage solely just off of your art. I've seen some people here on YouTube and on Instagram, and they are killing it. They are making really good money just selling their handmade things or designing products to then sell. And that's amazing. But I think that when you are, have a smaller follower count and subscriber count like me, you just kind of have to do a lot of different things in order to be making a livable wage and still be able to pursue your art And so one of the things that I do is I do freelance graphic design, and that helps me have the flexibility to pursue my art business and to just keep pushing that along as much as I can. It's hard. You got to put in the work. I'm still putting in the work. I still haven't, fully figured that all out yet. You just got to keep showing up, which is hard. Okay, question 7. And this one is kind of a fun question. What is a piece you don't like, but customers do, and the other way around? So I actually keep a really elaborate spreadsheet of all of my prints that I have sold, and then the inventory and whatever of what I have. And so then it kind of helps me be able to know like what I need to print more of. It's great. I love it. And one print in particular that I don't personally really like this painting all that much, but it sells pretty consistently and a lot more than I expected it would. I will put it up on the screen. It is just this glass candle holder with a candle and then a pink and orange and purple background. But yeah, this print sells pretty good and is not one of the ones that I would expect to have that people would be interested in buying as much as they have. And then next is a piece that I personally really like, but customers haven't bought as much as I thought that they would. I'll put it up on the screen as well. So it is this black brown teapot with a glass mug on a countertop, and then it's all kind of colorful and bright, fun background. But yeah, I really like this painting, and I thought it was a really good painting, and I was super pumped to make prints of it and bring them to the art walk, but people just haven't bought it. I don't know why. Question 8 is, what is an unpopular art opinion that you have? So something that would drive me crazy when I was in college was when other people in my class would try to make it seem like a very obvious mistake that they had on the project was their artistic choice. An example of this that comes to mind is I was in a film photography class, and when we were looking at our photos and, critiquing each other's compositions and whatever, this one person, their picture was out of focus, and our professor pointed that out, and then they said that it was their artistic choice to have it be out of focus. And it's just like, that's just not, it was not your artistic choice. You just messed up and you didn't realize that it was out of focus. So yeah, it would kind of annoy me, or it annoys me when people try to pass off mistakes as artistic choice or what have you, and not just own up to the fact that they made a mistake and then, take the criticism and then learn from it and, produce better art after that. And any of those classes that I was taking in college, I was taking it because I had never used that medium before. And so you can't just expect to be amazing at any given medium after a month of using it, or even less. I think that it is very important to always be teachable, especially when it comes to art and learning a new medium with art, because there are so many different techniques and such that go into every different kind of art medium. And so if you very obviously made a mistake, even if you didn't realize you made the mistake, it is very important to take the feedback, realize that you messed up, and then move on from it. So question 9, which is the last question, is what would you say is the hardest thing about running a business? I could honestly make a whole video about this. So if you would like to know some of the things that I have struggled with or have gone through with having a small business for 2.5 years now, comment below and tell me that you would like that, and then I'll make that video at a later date. But I would say the number one hardest thing for me has been not overworking myself, because I am not making a ton of money on my art. When I first went full-time with my art, I literally hit the ground running. I I finished at my full-time job, and then the next day I was like, let's go. I started painting every day, sometimes 2 paintings a day. And then I was attending markets on the weekends and then posting pretty much almost every single day on Instagram because I was essentially just like very much afraid of I knew that I was going to be taking a pay cut in order to do this for my job, but I was just afraid of not making a ton of money. And so I just launched in, started doing so much, too much, and I just burnt out. And I am definitely now feeling the toll of that. I worked myself like that for the last 2 years, essentially. And now going into my 3rd year of running my small art business, I'm feeling like it's really hard to find the motivation to keep going. I go through so many different time periods where I am like, maybe I should just, put a pause on this and go get a job and return to this at a later date. And then there's other times where I'm like, never going to have this opportunity later in life, and I might as well just keep going. My family supports it. My fiance supports it. My friends support it. And I should just keep going. But something that I have found is hard, I guess this could be a different kind of thing that's hard, but I've put in so much effort with posting online and with making new art and then with attending in-person markets. And it's really hard when you keep showing up, keep doing the work, and you just aren't seeing as much of a result from it as you would like. The biggest way that I see when I'm putting in a ton of effort and I'm not getting as much of a response to my art is when I go to the art walk sometimes, because it takes a lot of effort. I have to pack my lunch, gotta pack my car, got to get to the art walk and hope and pray that I can get a parking spot so that it'll be easier to unload and load my stuff. But that usually doesn't happen because I've been exhausted the entire week from working that I don't end up waking up early enough to get there on time to get a parking spot. And so I just have to pull in the red, chuck out my stuff as fast as possible because I'm literally blocking traffic. And then I go park my car somewhere else. I come back, I trolley all my stuff over to my spot. I set up for about an hour. And then I'm there from 10 to 4:30. Sometimes I'll start packing up at 5. And then sometimes my wonderful fiance comes and helps me pack up. And so when he comes, we end up packing up in 15 to 30 minutes, which is awesome. If it's just me, it will usually take me 30 to 45 minutes. But so pack up and then I drive home and then I have to unload my car. And then by that time, it's 6 and I am just pooped and I'm wiped. So that is just the getting stuff there, setting it up. But then on top of that, I am sitting at my spot pretty much all day. I only leave my spot for a brief amount of time if I need to go to the bathroom or if it's super slow and I just want to talk to my neighbors. So I've actually become pretty good friends with my neighbors and other people at the art walk. So with that, I'm sitting at my booth. I'm on pretty much all day. I'm ready at any point to answer someone's question or to engage in a, lighthearted, fun conversation with someone so that they hopefully don't feel awkward looking at my art, that, they see that I'm just a normal person and that we can have a just kind of fun, chill conversation. And from that, sometimes people will buy stuff for me, or sometimes they'll just say, your art's super great. And then I'll be like, cool, thanks. And then they say bye and I'm like, goodbye. It's a long day. I am naturally a very introverted person. And so I have definitely had to push myself out of my comfort zone in order to do the art walk. And I think I've gotten pretty good at it. I kind of assess as people are coming by if they, if I should talk to them or as they're looking, if I should talk to them. And so with that, with putting your art out, in the world at a market, art is already a very, very personal thing. And when you display it at an in-person market, you are not only, putting yourself out there because you're out there on display for people to see and talk to, but you're also putting your art there on display. And like, that's a really hard thing. And I don't think I really realized that would be a hard thing until I started doing it. And so with that, with putting myself and my art out there, I am opening myself up and my art up to criticism from people and then off comments from people. And a funny story comes to mind. It's funny and then also kind of sad. But a few Sundays ago at the art walk, this group of girls was walking by. I would say they were around in their 20s-ish, but they looked at my hanging pieces, my hanging paintings, and one of them said $400. And then she laughed and scoffed at my art. And then they looked at me, and I think that they were laughing because they were like, oh my gosh, we said that out loud. And oh my gosh, she's right there. And maybe just kind of thinking like, oh, hopefully she didn't hear us. I didn't hear them saying that, but I'm thinking that's what was going on in their minds. But I fully heard them. And I just kind of looked at them really confused, like, what? And then my neighbor looked over at me after they had passed, and he was like, shame on them. He was like, shame on them for saying that right in front of you. And I was like, yeah, I was like, honestly, it's just really funny. Like, I was completely not expecting that. It was just crazy. But I have interactions like that, not every single Sunday, but a handful of Sundays since I have been selling at the art walk. But yeah, it's just the extra added cherry on top that, you know, people say these odd things to you, and it, you know, it's like as they're saying these things, they think that it's a joke and they think that they're being funny, or they think that they are maybe even encouraging you, but it's just not. Or another story that comes to mind is this one guy came up to me and he was like, wow, like, your art is like so cool, and like, I'm an artist too, and you know, a piece of advice that I would give you is that you really need to be pricing your art higher, like $75 for this, like, you really need to be pricing higher. And like, you know, I'm just saying that like, you really need to be pricing your work higher, and you know, you'll make a lot more money if you price your work higher. I think in his head, he was probably thinking that he was being helpful and that he was being encouraging, but it was honestly just a bit insulting. I felt a bit insulted. That was one of the more recent ones that has actually kind of bugged me a little bit, but I just kind of like looked at him and I really didn't say anything. And I think he got that he was annoying me, and then he just walked away. It's like, yeah, you as this person that is saying that you are also an artist, you know, yeah, you can say that you'll make more money if you price your work higher, but it's like, actually, you don't really understand the, you know, that selling at a market is selling to usually a cold audience. And so with that, you have to take into account of who your audience is going to be on that given day. So with that, I price my work slightly lower just so that it is more appealing to this cold audience. But yeah, things like that make having a small business that sells at markets hard sometimes. So yeah, I guess this section of what's been the hardest thing has kind of been a multitude. Like I said, if you want me to make a full video talking about some of these things, happy to do it. Just let me know. To kind of summarize, it's been hard with having a good work-life balance. It's been hard with putting so much effort into putting myself and my art out there and not really receiving the response that I would like to receive. And then third, just dealing with any kind of weird comments or weird offhand interactions that I've had with people. But yeah, I think that is all the questions that you guys asked me. And I just also want to preface that I am just speaking from my experience. I am very much not claiming to know that any of these things that I've said are going to 100% work for you. I am just saying what I'm going to start trying to do with my business and what I have seen other people do So I think in general, it could work for a lot of different people. And yeah, just speaking from my experience and sharing my experience so that hopefully people can learn from it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. And if you asked me a question, thanks so much for asking me a question. This was so fun to do. I've never done a video like this before. And I was honestly a little bit scared to when I, put my story up on Instagram to ask me questions. Yeah, I was a little bit scared to do that, and I wasn't expecting to get any questions, but I'm so happy that some of you guys asked me questions. I hope that you found this helpful. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions about what I said or something was unclear or you have new questions just based on what I have said here, ask them in the comments. I barely get any comments, so I will 1,000% be answering your questions. But yeah, if you like this video, leave it a like. And if you like these kinds of videos, you could subscribe. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.